Hello, and welcome to the second Midnight Launch News Show. Today is January 24th, 2018, and I am David. And I've got this guy again.
Dan is just can't get rid of me. Dan's here too.
I can't get rid of him. I've been trying so hard.
Yeah, for like the last 9 years.
For 9 years.
9 years? No.
Still hasn't. I don't know. Maybe
Longer
next
than
year.
that, 10.
maybe next year. We'll keep trying, and I'll keep you guys informed. So Dan, what's going on, man?
I've been watching a lot of Overwatch League this past week.
Overwatch League.
Yeah, the team that I blindly picked after not watching any of the preseason whatsoever is off to a fantastic 5-0 today.
That team is obviously the team that hails from Dallas, Texas, which is where I live.
Yeah, clearly.
Everyone should be cheering for them. If you're not, that's who you should be cheering for.
Yeah. No, that would be the London Spitfire.
Whatever.
The Dallas Fuel with their very lovely Jack in the Box sponsorship. Are what? 0-4 right now?
You gotta, I don't know. I haven't watched any of the Overwatch League. I'm gonna be completely honest. Like I haven't watched it. Competitive Overwatch. I think I've watched maybe the BlizzCon finals. I think I watched that.
Here, let me enlighten you.
Enlighten me.
They are currently second last in the league. That's the Dallas Fuel.
Great.
At 0-4.
Wow. It sounds like, the Cowboys I remember from old, and yeah. All right. So just another disappointing sports team in Dallas. I put sports in air quotes. I know no one can see it, but I'm not quite ready to call Overwatch players. I'm not ready to call it a sports quite yet. So Overwatch League has started. And hopefully some of you are really, really enjoying it. I'm sure some of you are rooting for the team in Dallas, and you're probably not enjoying it very much because, number one, we're not doing well. And number two, I guess we can say we drafted. I don't even know if they had a draft or how they decided what the teams were. But we got a guy.
A guy.
We got a guy. We got a Canadian.
Yeah, you did.
And this
you guys
Canadian,
can keep him now.
Yeah, you keep shipping us your trash with Justin Bieber and now XQC, I guess is what he goes by.
Yep.
Overwatch Pro, recently in the news for, well, let's call it like it is, for being a dick.
Yep. I mean, I don't know why this is new and shocking to anybody. Because, I mean, and to be fair, I didn't even know about the guy until the Overwatch World Cup at BlizzCon, and that's kind of when I found out about him. But doing research into him, he's had this long history of, just being an asshole. He's been banned multiple times by Blizzard for, I don't know so much as trolling, but I saw a video of him where he was submitting complaints in game about other players and just saying fuck you, and that was it.
Right. Yeah, so, I've seen that exact same video.
Yeah, and midstream he gets the ban.
Yeah. I mean, so if any of you wondered, does Blizzard ever actually look at these? Well, if your name is XQC, they do. I don't know if they look at it for everyone else.
You know what? It's funny. I was looking up to see, because I was having this conversation with another friend today about whether they only ban pros or if they, ban the average Joes as well. And I came across a bunch of articles about how Blizzard was banning players that were maining like one character.
Right.
This one player was just, they only ever played Torbjorn.
Right.
That was it. And I guess the reasoning behind it is, since Overwatch is a game about countering other players, if you're getting just hammered playing this one character and refuse to switch, it can be seen as griefing
Yeah,
your own
I've
team.
I've heard that too, in sort of the upper echelons of Overwatch competitive play.
Yeah.
You are expected to counterpick as the game continues.
Yes.
And if you are the type of person that sticks with one main, despite the fact that your opponent has counterpicked against that particular character, you can get reported.
Yeah.
I don't know what they report it as in the game. It might be griefing. It might be like no team play or something like that.
Yeah, I believe it falls under griefing, but I'm not 100%. So if anybody is curious, Blizzard will ban average Joe players as well.
Right.
Obviously, don't know what the stats are because I don't think they ever release stats
No, they're
on that
usually
kind of stuff.
they play
So
that stuff, pretty close to the vest
yeah,
in terms of any sort of actions they take.
but back to
So yeah,
XQC
back to
though.
XQC, QXC. Oh, I feel
XQC,
terrible. I did not
CP.
did not research this enough. Back to Felix. Man, how do you pronounce that last name? Lengyel?
He's from Quebec. I believe he's from Quebec.
Does that make him French Canadian? Is Quebec
Probably. I mean, to be honest, I really haven't researched him that much either, other than the few times that
Guys,
he's been
came
banned, so.
for video game news and you got a geography lesson. You're welcome. That one's free. That one's on us.
There you go. Learning.
So the guy has been suspended before for abusing the reporting system. This particular event, one of his opponents from the team in Houston, I believe the Houston Outlaws, was basically talking about how their team absolutely stomped the Dallas team and used I guess a catch line that XQC use, that catch line being rolled and smoked. Oh my god. Rolled and smoked, huh? All right. And XQC took issue with that. Number one, because I guess he wasn't actually playing in the match that the player Austin Muma Wilmot was referring to. And basically went off on the player from Houston, saying, that's fucked up shit. And I'm quoting, and I guess I should have told you guys before, if your kids are listening, well, sorry for that F-bomb, put them to bed right now because there's going to be more of them. Says, that's fucked up shit. That's actually fucked up. You didn't smoke shit. Shut your fucking mouth. Go back there. Suck a fat cock. I mean, you would like it. And so the player that he's referring to, Austin Muma Wilmot, is an openly gay player. And of course this is an issue for so many reasons beyond just this guy being an asshole. And I think before we get into it, though, it is important for us to frame the conversation and talk maybe a little bit more about what XQC is going through currently. And, I'm not trying to excuse his behavior, but it's important to know that this guy is 22 years old. He just moved to a new country. He might be living alone for the first time. I don't know. I can't confirm that. But this is behavior that honestly I would expect from somebody that has been kind of thrust into the position that he has been thrust into.
I mean, I guess the problem that I have with it is I was in cadets for forever now. Obviously, there's going to be some major differences in the story that I'm going to tell and what he's going through. But I mean, I went to summer training bases multiple times, going there, not knowing anybody, basically living in very tight quarters with people that I don't know. And that stuff never happened. Now, maybe different types of people doing different types of things, but
I
I
think
mean, I get that, he's young at 22, your brain's not fully developed until 25 or so.
right. Well,
But
and I
we still had extremely like younger kids than that
sure.
coming to these bases and not flying off the handle like that.
So I think a lot of this boils down to the sort of pervasive attitude and environment that these pro, quote unquote, pro players find themselves in, where this sort of trash talk, if that's what you want to call it, you see it every day. You hear it every day. Like this toxicity, I mean, it's almost part of the game at this point. And I think it's really easy for us as older people to compare our upbringings and say, well, this never happened when I was growing up. But we also weren't in an environment where this sort of trash talking is almost par for the course.
Yeah, and that's true enough. Much, God, like a whole 10 years difference
Yeah.
makes that big of a
Well,
difference. Right?
and 10 years
But
difference in the internet, right? Like,
Yeah,
the
certainly.
internet
Like,
is what it is, really.
yeah, 10 years ago. God, 10 years ago. So 2008.
Yeah. I
I think
mean,
like the only online game that I was playing at the time was World of Warcraft, and you basically only surrounded yourself with people that were theoretically like-minded.
right.
So you
Right,
never really
absolutely.
had, especially in the early days of World of Warcraft.
Well, and we didn't have voice chat attached to everything. I mean, we might have
Yeah,
had some early versions of maybe like TeamSpeak or Ventrilo. I'm not really sure what we
yeah.
were on back then in 2008. But
Well,
it,
and
it certainly wasn't
it's
like built into the video games that we were playing.
well, except on console, and I will admit that back 360 days, definitely starting in the 360 days, if I was playing any online games, especially Call of Duty,
Right.
I was putting myself into a party chat by myself because I didn't need to hear some 12-year-old just spewing at the mouth for the entire match.
Yeah, saying exactly what
Yeah,
XQC
saying,
said. Like, I
yeah,
mean, so I think this particular event has a lot to do with sort of if we take a macro view at the entire thing, it's sort of the environment that competitive video games have fostered.
yeah,
And he is sort of a product of that environment. Young player, impressionable guy, obviously has a lot of life changes going on right now. But all of this being said, I think it's, as I said earlier, I think it's important to think about XQC as a person in all of this, because it becomes really easy to look at a situation like this and just start demonizing the person like XQC, because number one, you want to be that righteous person, but number two, you don't want someone to think that you're defending the guy that is speaking homophobic trash.
yeah.
Because
And if this wasn't already a known thing about him, if this was like the very first time that he had said anything, even remotely in that vein,
mm-hmm,
maybe there's some slack that can be given.
sure,
But you have this player that's already well known for being just that person, that guy, right?
right,
That guy that you don't want to be in voice chats with because they are so toxic.
right.
It's not like this was just a brand new thing to him, and he just said it. His defense as of right now was, my mouth just goes faster than my mind.
Right. Here's the thing. I didn't actually read that, but I read what he said, and I can absolutely see that being the case. Cause I'm gonna be honest with you. You tell someone to suck a cock when you're gaming with them, and that's pretty tame. overall and what you might hear someone say to you.
Yeah,
And
and
I can see
that's
I can see the thought process where he's like, shut your fucking mouth, go back there, suck a fat cock, and then like it dings in his head, oh yeah, this guy's gay. So I'm just gonna add to the end of that. I mean, you would like it because it's gonna be funny and it's gonna be clever. Like I don't
I
I can see
I
that.
guess it comes down to and like I'm comparing this to, and this may not be a fair comparison, but to other professional sports. So for me, more so than anything for hockey, because shocking, live in Canada, watch hockey.
Right.
And that's just, there are most certainly you'll see videos of players chirping on the bench and whatnot, but they will not go on to their own personal social medias,
Right.
social media accounts. Like if you ever look at hockey players during the regular season, they're like absent from social media.
Sure.
And I'm sure that is basically something that the teams, I don't, maybe to an extent the NHL themselves, you know, say you guys need to not be on social media. It's probably more the teams than anything else.
Right.
But at the same time there is a difference because these guys are, YouTubers. A lot of their brand is social media.
Right.
So I think it's going to be it's a learning curve for
Right,
some
it is a
some of the
learning curve.
players.
And I think you actually bring up a really interesting point there, sort of the dichotomy of the discussion when you compare it to an actual sports team is, when you're on the ice or when you're on the gridiron, you have an outlet. You can say these things, and there's a very good possibility that it's not going to get caught by a camera. It's probably not going to get mic'd up. And if it is mic'd up, then it's going to get censored first. Like
Yeah.
it's not going to be shown to the world. These players that are playing Overwatch and these other competitive games, and then the rest of the time to make some extra money, they're streaming online. They don't really have sort of that semi-private outlet where
Yeah.
they can just let go and talk shit and do that like professional sports players do. So that is a little bit of an interesting dichotomy when you try to compare the two. Now let's talk about the disciplinary action.
Yep.
Go
I,
ahead.
I like that. I like that he got a ban in general, and B, I love that Dallas took it a step further. I'm not sure I don't remember what the original ban was now because the one that Dallas imposed themselves kind of overshadowed it.
Right. So the original ban was a total of 4 matches and a $2,000 fine.
Which pretty much accounts for 2 weeks.
Right.
2 weeks of play. And Dallas went ahead and said he is out for the entire stage one. And
Right.
stage one goes. So I guess I should say stage two starts Wednesday, February 21st.
Correct.
So that would be his first eligible game to be back and play is Wednesday, February 21st.
I absolutely think the suspension is warranted. I'm glad Blizzard has went very much mama bear on their brand and said, hey, you know what, this is not okay. Overwatch is supposed to be a game, for adults, but it's also a game for kids. This Overwatch League is something that we want a parent to be able to watch with their child, cheering on their home team, to kind of bring Overwatch into the living room. And, I'm glad Dallas Fuel says, you know what, maybe this guy really is struggling. And, they've said while he's suspended, they're going to offer him additional resources, including focus coaching, physical training, and support to help him improve.
Yeah,
So,
and I'm, you know what? And if he takes advantage of that and comes out of it a better person at the end of the day, then, then
great.
things kind of work out.
Yeah, absolutely they do. So I think we're both in agreement here. Overall, as far as, the punishment, does it fit the crime? I absolutely think it does. Should also be noted that XQC and Muma kind of apologized over Twitter, and the apology was accepted. So it seems like they're, relatively cool as far as what happened. And that,
And I mean, to compare it to, um, other sports leagues, it's not like this doesn't happen in other leagues where players will basically get benched.
oh no,
I know there
it
are
happens a
hockey
lot.
players that get benched, that the coach doesn't like something that they're doing. It may not even be something that was public, but they'll, bench them for a game or two. So
Yeah,
it's not
absolutely.
it's
If
not
you're
out
going
of
to
it.
be a detriment to the team,
Yeah.
then you're going to end up getting benched.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
so that is the XQC drama. Uh, Definitely hope he gets his ducks in a row. Good player. Honestly, probably a good guy. He just needs to grow up.
Yep. And I mean, let's be honest, Dallas can use all the help they can get right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. All right, so let's move on. We've got some news on a couple of delays. We Happy Few, which was shown off. God, it feels like it was years ago. Sort of this extremely odd survival horror game with an
It's the one with
extremely
the people
unique art
that
style.
is that the one where people had kind of the mime faces, like the
Yes.
white painted? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Was supposed to be released April 13th. That has been pushed back to sometime this summer, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Who
of
knows?
course.
And then, of course, the big news that recently hit, actually, I think it was today, is Anthem has been, quote unquote, delayed. We didn't have a release date for Anthem. They said fall 2018 was the window that they were shooting for. And some inside sources within the industry are saying that window was hogwash. Like it was unattainable for what they were trying to do with the game.
Yeah.
So,
And I mean, some other ones, I mean, they're a bit older. It's about a month old news, but the kings of game delays, Ubisoft has also delayed Far Cry 5
right.
to, I believe it's March 22nd. I believe it was a full month delay.
Right.
And the crew got pushed, or the crew 2 got pushed out into April.
So just a ton of delays. But this is pretty par for the course.
Yeah.
Within
and
the
it kind
industry.
of brings up a topic of, delays seem to be par for the course these days. When developers first announce release dates, and especially Ubisoft, I think we've been conditioned now that you kind of just have to expect that they're gonna get delayed.
Yeah. Yeah,
and I
absolutely.
think that's just
well,
the developers of the
when they
game.
choose these release dates, they just go to the conference room. They've got a giant fucking calendar on the wall, and someone throws a dart and says, "All right, that's the release date that we're going to tell people, and we'll just go ahead and push it back if we need to. No big deal."
Okay. Whoa. Okay,
Is that not how it's done?
No, I'm in software development myself, and I can tell you that now this is not for a game developer whatsoever, but I can tell you that release dates are actually scheduled. They have full workups on, sprint builds that they're going to do, what's going to be accomplished in each one, when that one's going to be done by.
God, it's so much more boring than my explanation.
I know, right?
God. Like, I think...
But that being said, there are definitely times like with Anthem where it was just garbage, the 2018.
Yeah.
They just wanted to put that out there as more of a hype kind of thing.
Well, let's get a date out there so that we can start taking pre-orders.
Yes.
Right?
I don't even know. Can you take pre-orders
for Anthem?
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I know.
Like I didn't see it up on EB Games up here.
Let's go ahead and Google, and I apologize for the loud ass keyboard.
Let me take a look at EB Games myself. Oh man, we are so prepared for this.
Yes. So it looks like they were taking pre-orders.
Oh, interesting.
And they've already been canceled.
they've been canceled, really. Like, I
for
mean, the the article that I saw said that it was very unlikely that EA was going to allow BioWare to push the release date past April, because I believe that is their Q1 for fiscal 19.
right.
So it was very unlikely it would go past that. So I mean, realistically, you're pushing it 6 months, which that's pretty par for the course these days.
Yeah, I hope. I mean, we look at these sorts of games right now, and of course, the competitor that everyone is gonna kind of try to draw the comparison to is Destiny. And we know, and you know, if you've been following the industry, that Destiny 2 has seen some pretty hard times recently. And it makes me wonder if Anthem is rethinking a lot of what they were doing based on how they're seeing the reception of Destiny 2. So I do wonder if we're going to see an even longer delay.
Uh, I mean, it could be. I think all that this does is it brings up the fact that developers need to just start being a little bit more realistic with their release dates. I get that them putting out release dates allows them to start selling, or yeah,
Well, start selling pre-orders,
sales.
start hyping up the game.
Yeah, but I mean, there are developers out there that don't do it that way, and they are just fine. Blizzard is a perfect example. You
Yeah.
know, they'll announce a game, but they won't say anything at all about when it's going to be out. Now, a lot of people can speculate, and just by looking at the PTRs and whatnot, kind of get an idea of when it's coming out. But when they do finally announce when a game is going to come out, it's typically 2 to 3 months, and I don't think they've ever pushed a release date.
Not one that I can remember.
Yeah, not when in
Um,
recent time, anyways.
yeah, I think there's definitely work that developers and publishers within the industry can do in order to temper and set realistic expectations among their fans. But I also think unless there is some sort of monetary punishment for not doing so, we're not going to see anything.
Yeah, true enough. But I mean,
So
if it means that people cancel pre-orders
sure.
because they push the release dates, then that's a possibility. Obviously, it doesn't hurt them that bad. Ubisoft does it like for almost every game that they do, and they still keep doing it. So it,
Well, I mean, when it's a AAA title and people are excited for it, let's be honest, someone might cancel their pre-order when you push back the release date, but they're still probably going to go pick it up on the release date.
yeah, probably.
It's going to be, they're canceling the pre-order for the catharsis that moment provides, you know, sticking it to the man, you push back this game, et cetera, and then 6 months or a year down the road when it finally comes out, you know, they're not going to remember that they canceled the pre-order. They're just going to go pick it up and they're going to go have fun with their friends, and, you know, that'll be that.
Yep, exactly.
So probably won't see any changes there. But if you do, it's because someone at Ubisoft heard our podcast and we're like, man, these guys are onto something. We need to start listening to them. So we've got, as well as the delays, we've got some rumors. I think the biggest one to hit is a new Fable game might be coming out in the near future. I mean, it excites me, but I have yet to play a Fable game that lives up to my expectations and the hype that they built for it. So,
I personally really enjoyed 1 and 2. 3 was a bit of a train wreck for me, and I never finished it.
right.
But it was funny. I remember when they put out the remastered version of Fable, the original Fable, and I picked it up and I was like, wow, it's great that they slapped a coat of paint on this, but the gameplay's pretty rough.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's definitely a game that shows its age and more than one way, whether it's, you know, the art style or the mechanics and the combat systems, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But look, I'm excited. I'll pick up a new Fable if it comes out.
Yep.
I'm sure
Me
I'll have a
too.
lot of fun with it. So as
Provided
well
it's
as,
not that weird Diablo style one that they were trying to push
oh
for a
man,
bit.
yeah, Fable Heroes or something like that.
Yeah.
God, I forget what it was called.
Or
I
the
probably would have
Connect
picked that one
one.
up as well. Okay, the Connect one is where I draw the line. Um,
Well, good news. Since Xbox, pulled the plug on the
oh,
Connect, you don't have to worry about that
rest
anymore.
in peace, Connect. That happened a while back. So a new Perfect Dark might be coming out.
Yeah, I never really played them myself. I never
I
had a Nintendo 64, so I
I've
never.
heard the best way to play Perfect Dark is actually on the Xbox 360.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
they
with
did a
Perfect Dark
remaster
Zero.
or yeah, Perfect Dark Zero.
Yeah.
And from the company that brought you GoldenEye, which
Right.
for the people that did have Nintendo 64s, that was absolutely the holy grail of first-person shooters.
Yep.
And so that's exciting. And then for me, out of all this, the most exciting rumor is the next Forza Horizon might be going to Japan.
Yeah. I love me some Forza Horizon. I was one of the very early adopters for the original game and just absolutely fell in love with it. Um, when they went to Australia, number two, great
Hmm.
sequel. Great sequel. I'm very excited to see what they do with Japan.
I am excited. Japan is a country for us Americans or Canadians that have never gone there that is just so full of mystique.
Yeah.
Right? We think about Japan and we almost think that it is just a country of legends. And I'm
Well, and I
just
mean for most of us, like when we think Japan, like we're not even thinking of the country. We're thinking of what they output in terms of media. So in terms of cartoons, in terms of video games, like
sure.
that's almost where it goes to. So having a game that will be set in Japan that you'll be driving through the countryside because that's majority of where Forza games take place is
Right.
countryside. It'll be I'm like I've never looked at what the country actually looks like.
No,
So,
neither
and
have I.
I get that it'll be, it won't be actual versions of cities in it. Um,
No,
but
but
I'm
I
just
mean,
I'm excited to see what it looks like.
there are certainly um, certain elements of a country's topography that they will be able to pull in and put into Forza Horizon,
Yeah.
that will be able to convey what it is like to be in Japan. I mean, cherry blossoms. I expect those to be
Yes.
absolutely everywhere. So I'm excited to kind of like race through some cherry blossom trees and watch the petals just like flying across my windshield,
Yep.
and the giant cities, with all the technology
And all the neon.
and all the neon, and
Yeah.
I think Japan would be a great place for the next Forza game. uh Here's to hoping that's where we go. I can't really think of
Yeah.
a better place, honestly.
You know what? I actually said Horizon 2 was Australia, but that was actually Europe. There was three that was
Horizon 3
Australia.
was Australia.
Australia. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. At
Yeah,
least we got
that's okay because Horizon 2 was largely forgettable.
it. And the last thing we're going to talk about today is some pretty big news concerning the Xbox Game Pass. If you're not
Yes.
familiar with what that is, it's basically the Netflix version of Xbox. You pay a monthly charge. I think it's $9.99 per month, and you can play to your heart's content a number of video games that they make available to you on a rotating basis.
And I think
So
as it is right now, they've got at least 100 titles,
yeah,
if
I
not
think it's
more.
100 titles, most of them released within the last year.
Yeah.
So these are relatively new titles, unlike the PlayStation offering, where you do have a lot of older legacy titles, even titles from old consoles like the PlayStation 3. So the big news, though, beyond Xbox Game Pass being a thing, because it has been for a while, although most people don't know about it, is that Microsoft has announced that they are going to give subscribers to the Xbox Game Pass day one access to all first-party titles in the future. So that includes...
And so one of the main ones they talked about was Crackdown 3, which,
Right.
talking about delayed games, there's another one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Crackdown 3, like, that might sell the Game Pass alone for me.
So Crackdown 3, Sea of Thieves, State of Decay. Let's just say we are getting a new Fable. So that's a first party. A new Forza Horizon, if that comes out. That's a first party. Obviously mainline Forza as well. Halo, Gears of War. These are all Microsoft properties.
Yep.
And, there's a lot of value there.
Well, and I think they needed to do this because their 2017 exclusive offerings were pretty
you can
lacking.
Just say it. They're trash. They were trash.
Well, no, that's not true because they did have Forza 7.
Okay.
Which yeah. Now that being said, I haven't picked it up myself, even though I have an Xbox One X that I'm sure it'll look absolutely amazing.
It will look great on. I haven't picked it up either.
I haven't. I think I've kind of fallen into I prefer the Horizon over the Motorsports, so it just wasn't a big pickup on my list. I'm sure I'll play it at some point, but
I think this is going to be a boon for the casual gamer. These first party titles come out, you can go spend $60 on Crackdown 3 or $60 on Sea of Thieves. Or if you're probably going to play through the game in a month and you don't think you're ever going to touch it again, just sign up, pay your $9.99, play it all you want, as well as all the other games that are currently available in the library, and then cancel your subscription.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's great. That's amazing.
Yep.
The question from a value standpoint is entirely going to be dictated on whether or not we see more first-party titles in 2018.
Right.
And who knows?
Well, I mean, like we said,
we know Crackdown 3,
Sea of Thieves, and Crackdown 3.
Right. State of Decay 2, which is not a game I'm familiar with or I've played, but I think it's just like a zombie survival game.
Yeah.
But that's 3 games. I mean, I don't need to. Even state the obvious.
Even if you just wait until the very first one that you're interested comes out,
sure,
like you're gonna save yourself, at least $50 right off the bat.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is a wise move from Microsoft. To get people excited about Game Pass. Basically what this is for Microsoft is this is a loss leader. This is them saying, hey, we're going to give you this brand new game at the deeply discounted price of $9.99, and we're hoping that you're going to look into this amazing library of games that we have available, and you're just going to go ahead and keep your subscription going.
Yep. And I mean, I will even wager that there will be a point where they're going to say, hey, why don't you take the first 2 weeks on us, maybe caveat that you don't get to play these brand new games in your first 2 weeks.
Oh, I'm sure they'll have a trial
or whatever. But I mean, that it's a tried and true method of getting people on subscriptions.
Yeah, absolutely. So Game Pass, already good. Already a ton of good games on there. Will probably be getting better, assuming Crackdown 3 and Sea of Thieves and State of Decay are good, which I
mean, at the very least, I I mean, I can't say that that Sea of Thieves will be good. I think Sea of Thieves is going to be largely dependent on your group of friends and if you all play it.
Right.
Crackdown 3, I mean, I was a big fan of the Crackdown franchise for the original Xbox and then 360. Terry Crews being in it just elevates it even more for myself. So I mean, I've already got it pre-ordered.
Man, how are you going to delay the game that Terry Crews is the spokesperson for? Can you imagine having that conversation, Terry? I'm sorry, man, but we're going to have to delay the game. What'd you say? What? No. Unacceptable. Release this game right now. I don't want to be that guy.
I'm looking forward to it. I mean, and the funny thing is, I actually have a pre-order for Crackdown. And at this point, I'm kind of going, well, I mean, I might as well just cancel my pre-order and just, if they're going to make it available through
the Game Pass.
The Game Pass, I might as well just do it through there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I think that's about it. There was a pretty big announcement about World of Warcraft that we're not going to be covering today. We might actually do a kind of mini show later on this week covering it, where they've talked about the class design overview for Battle for Azeroth. But we're going to put that in a different video. So if you are a World of Warcraft fan, be sure to subscribe and hit that little bell so that you're informed of when that video goes out.
Yeah. But and as is for everything else, you guys let us know what you think about the Game Pass. Let us know what you think about what happened with XQC and just maybe the culture of online professional esports in general. Just let us know what you think in the comments.
Yeah, let us know what you think about Dallas, so long as it's something good. If it's something bad, I don't want to hear about it. Just don't even bother.
Go Spitfire.
Oh, spit on that.
5-0. 5-0.
Whatever. Guys, thank you so much for listening. We really do want to hear from you, so hit us up in the comments down below, and we will see you soon.
Have a good one, guys.